If there's one game that encapsulates the funky, quirky charm of early 90s gaming, it's ToeJam Earl. Released for the Sega Genesis in 1991, this bizarre yet beloved title stands out as one of the most unique co-op experiences of its time. With its mix of alien characters, funky beats, and randomized gameplay, ToeJam Earl quickly became a cult classic. For gamers who grew up in the 90s, ToeJam Earl was the kind of game you'd play with your best friend for hours on end. The colorful art style, groovy soundtrack, and laugh-out-loud humor made it a standout in Sega's library. But beyond the surface, the game introduced a type of gameplay that was far ahead of its time. A roguelike experience wrapped in a package of pure, funky weirdness. Whether you were navigating the strange, randomly generated levels of Earth or desperately trying to avoid the dangerous humans that stood in your way, ToeJam Earl always kept you on your toes. At its core, the story of ToeJam Earl is as bizarre and offbeat as its protagonists. Our two main characters, ToeJam Earl, are funky alien rappers from the planet Funkatron, a far-out world where grooves and good vibes reign supreme. ToeJam, a red, three-legged alien sporting a gold medallion and a backward cap, is the smaller and more cautious of the two. His partner Earl, a big orange dude with sunglasses and shorts, brings the muscle and laid-back attitude. Together, these two are on a mission, but it's not quite the heroic quest you might expect. The game begins with ToeJam Earl cruising through space in their spaceship, just minding their own business, when things take a sudden turn for the worse. Earl, who isn't exactly known for his brains, accidentally crashes the ship into Earth. Now, stranded on a planet filled with bizarre and dangerous humans, our heroes must recover all 10 missing pieces of their spaceship in order to return to Funkatron. But this is where things get really interesting. Earth, in the world of ToeJam Earl, isn't like any version of the planet you've seen before. It's split into floating islands, each one representing a new level that the pair must explore in search of their ship's parts. While the storyline is simple, find the spaceship parts and get off Earth, the charm comes from the weirdness of the journey itself. The game's humor is full of 90s attitude, and the characters you meet, both friend and foe, bring an absurdity that makes every encounter unpredictable and hilarious. What really sets ToeJam Earl apart from other games of its time is the way the narrative unfolds. Each playthrough is different due to the game's randomly generated levels, so no two journeys feel the same. This means that ToeJam Earl's mission to escape Earth is always a fresh experience, packed with surprises, even if the basic story stays the same. ToeJam Earl delivers one of the most unusual gameplay experiences of its time, blending exploration, randomness, and co-op action in a way that wasn't common in the early 90s. At its core, the game is a top-down, roguelike adventure where players must search through 25 levels of floating islands to find all 10 missing pieces of the spaceship. These islands are randomly generated in the game's random world mode, meaning no two playthroughs are ever the same. That unpredictability is key to ToeJam Earl's charm, whether you're uncovering a ship part on one level or being ambushed by a pack of evil mailboxes on another, you never know what's coming next. The game operates as a mix of exploration, survival, and strategy. As either ToeJam or Earl, or both in co-op mode, you'll be wandering the strange Earth landscape, uncovering new sections of each level, looking for the elevator that takes you to the next island, and hoping to find a ship piece. You're not always guaranteed to find one on every level, which keeps you on edge. The game's cast of wacky Earthlings provides endless entertainment. From aggressive chickens with tomato-launching mortars to maniacal ice cream trucks and those hypnotic hula girls, danger comes in all shapes and sizes. Some enemies are purely comical, while others can genuinely frustrate you if you're not careful. One of ToeJam Earl's most unique gameplay features is the present system. Scattered throughout the game, you'll find brightly wrapped presents that contain various items. Some are beneficial, like rocket skates that let you zoom around or extra life gifts that heal you up, while others can be completely disastrous, like the dreaded Total Bummer, which instantly takes a life. The kicker is that you never know what's inside a present until you use it, or have it identified by the Carrot Man. In single-player mode, ToeJam and Earl plays out more as a careful strategy game, where players must pace themselves, manage their health, and be selective about which risks to take. However, the game really shines in its two-player co-op mode. Splitting the screen when the characters move apart, the co-op experience allows each player to explore different parts of the level independently, or team up to face bigger challenges together. With its quirky roguelike structure, ToeJam and Earl successfully introduced a gameplay style that encouraged exploration, patience, and a bit of luck. The blend of random levels, unpredictable presence, and bizarre enemies kept each playthrough fresh, while the co-op mode made it an ideal game to play with friends. It's this combination of randomness, humor, and laid-back fun that made the gameplay of ToeJam and Earl so special and has kept players coming back for more over the decades. If there's one thing that hits you the moment you boot up ToeJam and Earl, it's the game's unmistakable vibe. And a lot of that comes from the graphics and the soundtrack. In an era where 16-bit visuals were often defined by high-speed platforming action and bold primary colors, ToeJam and Earl went in a totally different direction. Visually, the game is a feast for the eyes in the most unconventional way possible. The top-down perspective, paired with the game's randomly generated floating islands, gives each level an almost surreal, dreamlike quality. ToeJam and Earl themselves are wonderfully weird and instantly iconic. ToeJam's red, three-legged form with his backward cap and gold medallion screams hip-hop alien, while Earl's oversized frame and ultra-relaxed demeanor, complete with shades and polka-dot shorts, perfectly contrast his partner. The exaggerated designs of the duo immediately stand out and give each character a personality that pops, even without needing dialogue. The human characters you encounter are not your standard video game foes. You've got everything from nerdy tourists wielding deadly cameras to angry dentists who chase you down with drills. And let's not forget the mad shopping cart ladies and the insane boogeyman that sneaks up on you with that sinister laugh. Each enemy has a design that's as weird as it is whimsical, fitting perfectly with the game's offbeat tone. The graphics alone wouldn't have been nearly as effective without the game's legendary soundtrack. From the moment the title screen hits, ToeJam and Earl immediately lets you know you're in for a funky ride. The music, composed by John Baker, is a masterclass in 90s funk, blending smooth bass lines, drum beats, and synth melodies that give the game its cool, laid-back atmosphere. What's genius about the soundtrack is that it's both catchy and atmospheric. Tracks like the game's main theme set the tone with an upbeat, funky rhythm that loops in the background but never gets old. As you explore the levels, the music adapts to the pace of the game, creating an almost hypnotic groove that keeps you bobbing your head along with the characters. In the end, it's the combination of the game's quirky visuals and unforgettable funk soundtrack that gave ToeJam and Earl its unique identity. Together, they create a mood that no other game at the time, or even since, has managed to replicate. It's that commitment to style and personality that makes the game so enduringly cool and memorable for retro gamers. When ToeJam and Earl first hit the Sega Genesis in 1991, it didn't just stand out, it broke the mold. In an era dominated by fast-paced action games and platformers like Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario, ToeJam and Earl dared to be different. With its slow, exploratory gameplay, funky atmosphere, and cooperative multiplayer, it defied the norms of the early 90s video game scene. But it's in the years that followed that the true impact of ToeJam and Earl became clear. Despite initial confusion from some critics and gamers who weren't sure what to make of its weirdness, the game steadily built a loyal fan base, eventually earning its place as a cult classic in the world of retro gaming. One of the game's most enduring legacies is how it helped pave the way for the roguelike genre, even before the term was widely recognized. The randomly generated levels and unpredictable gameplay of ToeJam and Earl were ahead of their time. Modern roguelikes like The Binding of Isaac, Spelunky, and Hades owe a lot to the structure ToeJam and Earl introduced to console gaming. The ultimate nod to the game's legacy came in 2019, when ToeJam and Earl, Back in the Groove, was released. Funded by fans through a Kickstarter campaign, This new installment was developed by the original co-creator Greg Johnson and was designed to be a return to the series' roots. The game reintroduced the roguelike, exploratory gameplay of the original, combined with modern improvements, and was a hit with fans of the classic. Back in the Groove stands as a testament to the staying power of ToeJam and Earl, proving that even decades after their debut, these funky aliens still had a place in the hearts of gamers. ToeJam and Earl wasn't just a product of its time, it was ahead of it. Its influence on game design, co-op play, and the roguelike genre is undeniable. But more importantly, it's a game that people continue to love and cherish, proving that funk never goes out of style.